We've both been visiting the battlefields for about 15 years, and we used to come across quite often, about once a year, and we always had problems getting accommodation. Now, I was coming towards the end of my time in the Marines, and I thought it'd be a good idea, possibly as a business, to look for somewhere in France that we could use as a holiday home, but would also rent out for self-catering as a business. So we set off about 3 years ago. We came across looking for property. We actually turned up in the August and found that all the estate agents were shut for holidays, and ended up just having a week drinking really, and going around the bars and visiting the usual battlefield sites that we go to.
We came out on about several occasions before we actually found this house itself, and we'd looked at lots of properties and we knew they just weren't right for what we wanted. And it was the moment we walked down the drive of this house that we actually knew that this was the right place for what we had in our mind. And the village was a good location. It was close to Guillemont, it was close to Delville Wood, and a lot of the heart of the Somme. We decided to buy the house. I actually remember speaking to the estate agent on the front step, and I actually went over to negotiate because my French was better than the rest of them. And we did all that, and after we'd sorted everything out, because the place was in such a state and needed a lot of renovation, I actually thought, what the hell have we done? But now when I look around and the people's comments on how beautiful it is and how nice it is, I'm so glad we've done it, and we enjoyed every minute of doing it as well.
I mean, everything happened very quickly, and within a month the property was actually ours. Now the plan was initially to probably renovate the whole complex over 5 years, but as it goes, the week we took over, we took the property into possession, I had quite a devastating injury on my left knee where I snapped my patella tendon. Now at the time I was still serving in the Marines at the 20-year point, and I was like, this could go terribly wrong and I could be looking at a medical discharge. So we decided to speed up the process and get the property up and running as quickly as we could. Now I ended up on 6 months sick leave, which I thought was an excellent opportunity to get over here and crack on with the main renovation. We started with the main farmhouse, which had been empty for 2 years and was very French, 1950s, 1960s, and needed quite a bit of work doing to it. So we cracked on with there, and we managed to get that complete probably within 6 months. The only thing that slowed us down was we decided to renovate the room ration in about 2 months into the work, which then tended to slow us down slightly during the evenings because we'd have a couple of beers and we were getting up a little bit later. But apart from that, work commenced quite quickly. We then decided that the 2 cottages, Curie and Dupas, we'd create them out of the barns and do a barn conversion. We got together with a French architect, came up with a plan and started with that. But again, that was very long-winded and took about a year's worth of planning before we could crack on with them.
We actually used French builders for a lot of the work because we weren't too sure about some of the more technical sides. We did a lot of the groundwork ourselves, as in the actual barn itself, well, the stables itself was split into 2, but actually in the wrong place. So we had to knock the wall down, we had to knock some mangers down, and some other work as well to get the building ready for the builders. All the bricks that we took out of the place we used for renovations of the building a barbecue, and you can see them around the actual location of the place itself where we built a footpath and things like that. The builders were very good, they were very efficient. The architect himself was the project manager, so he kept on top of them, and when they were working very well and they did a good job. But once the French builders actually finished, they'd taken it to a certain level where there was no kitchen, and there was a lot of decorating needed doing. All the floors were put in ourselves, the tiling and the painting, everything inside the place itself, to actually give it that nice finish, the really good kind of look we were after. We're after when people came back off the battlefield, that the whole holiday experience and the whole what they come out for actually carried on. Jonathan did a lot of the work himself, as in putting up some picture frames, the medals, lots of memorabilia, and as much as we could was related to the Hardecourt, Somme area.
And we decided to name the properties after individual soldiers who'd fought here during the Battle of the Somme, very close to the village. The main house we decided to call Chavasse, which is named after Captain Noel Chavasse, who won his first Victoria Cross, about half a mile from the farm itself. And we thought that would be a fitting memory for him. The other two properties we called Curry House, again to another VC winner from the South Lancs Regiment, again who won his VC within about half a mile from the farm. And the last property, Dupas, is named after the soldiers of the 9th Royal Fusiliers who actually fought in the village and actually on the grounds of the farm in 1918 and lost nearly 30 men killed very close to the farm. Decoration within the buildings is all related to them individual men or the battalion or division that they fought with, and we try to keep it as that as much as possible. It involved quite a lot of research, going down to the Imperial War Museum, National Records Office, and gathering all the information in, then putting that into making frames with information and medals and to individual soldiers. Chavasse House is the main farmhouse itself, and it's the largest of the properties. And what we decided was it's got two very big bedrooms upstairs, and we've put 4 beds in each, so upstairs sleeps 8 people altogether, in single beds and 1 double bed actually. Downstairs there's also 2 bedrooms, but they're both double beds, but are ideal for smaller parties. There's a large living room and dining room that goes all the way through, and an open wood burning fire at the end, which again is an original feature of the house, through to a kitchen and a bathroom. There's 2 bathrooms, 1 upstairs and 1 downstairs, and also obviously a toilet upstairs and downstairs, which works very well.
With the planning of Chavasse House was for larger groups. We decided to turn the stables more into the smaller groups, because myself and my brother, when we came over, there was just the 2 of us, so we wanted to cater really for when there was between 4, 3, 2 people coming over, and we knew the farmhouse is ideal for that anyway, but it gave us more option on what we wanted to do. Dupas House itself sleeps 4 singles, so we were more aiming that at say 4 men coming over together, and we've got Curie, which we put a double and 2 singles in, which that was more aimed at possibly like a small family. The houses themselves are pretty much identical apart from that. They've both got a nice little kitchen, they've got the table to sit out there and a nice comfy lounge that we put some wood burners in, so in the winter time if people want to really have that kind of country feel, they've got the wood burners there. All of it is surrounded by the memorabilia from the area, which and also we've got a very good library which is full of mostly books on the First World War. We're finding generally at the moment that the farm is, the whole complex is fully booked. As we're filming this at the moment, there's a lot of people having barbecues and having a few beers, I want to say. We actually find ourselves now that we have to sleep in the barn, and it's almost like camping. We have some camp beds in there. Luckily we have a toilet and a little kitchen. It's not the best, it's not ideal, but it does the job so we can carry on with some maintenance work. We have a lot of different groups as well that come. We've got regimental groups, we have groups that have just set up their own little organisations. We do advertise in the Western Front Association, and we do get a lot of people interested from there. Also we found quite recently a lot of Australians have been visiting. We've also had some people from Belgium. The groups vary in size, with the main farmhouse taking 14 people.
We've been open fully now for business for about 12 months, and bookings have increased slowly over that 12 months, and at the minute we are fully booked, and we're booked for the next 3 months through to the end of September, which is really good, and obviously encouraging, and it proves that the work we've put in there as we've done the right thing, hopefully. We're getting a lot of interest out of big groups as well, and a lot of regimental associations, groups from the police, the army, bigger groups that some are renting all three houses or three properties together. And with that in mind, we've actually moved on now, and we're actually looking at buying a second place close to here, at Longueval near Delville Wood, again, which will hopefully be able to sleep 14, and hopefully we'll fill that again. So, and I'm sure we hopefully will.
Now that most of the work's been done and it's just really maintenance on the property, over the last 3 years we've not been able to get out much onto the battlefields itself because we've been working. So it's nice now that we can actually go out at night, in the evenings, sometimes during the day, and we actually get back to what we actually enjoy about the place itself, finding out about the people that were here, the history, where places were, what went on that date. And it's nice, and it's nice to actually be able to talk to the people that come to visit, that have this interest in the place. Even the visitors, we find that if we've got people in Chavasse and we have people in Bois, say, they can communicate very well because they have a very common interest, and it's nice to actually meet so many people we've very much enjoyed. Something that we didn't actually think about when we first started the project, the amount of new friends we'd make, the amount of people that had come to the place, and everyone's been very friendly, very helpful, as we've tried to do the same back to them, tried to make their stay great. And it'd be nice in the future if we could see and meet more friends again.